Kicking things off on, what day is it today? I think it's Wednesday. Wednesday morning. Still shorts and t-shirt weather here. Late September. Beautiful day. Just endless beautiful days. August, September. Oh my God. A bug just went in my mouth. Whoa. That's what you get when you are riding. Oh my God. Okay, that's fun. Already off to a great start. So what fun stuff do we want to deal with today? Let's see. I'm gonna go this way. I don't know what's going on. I'm assuming the UN's still in town. Some action going on there. Let's see. This guy's blocking the crosswalk. You might argue actually that cars blocking crosswalks but with no pedestrians around is again like sort of victimless. Like, what's the actual problem? Here, this guy's on his app. And cool. Which I would say that's probably partially true, right? It's kind of an odd position. So if I go through a red light but nobody's around and I'm in a car and it's 2 a.m. and the streets are empty, why should I stop at the red light? But wow, this is all this gravel here on the road again. By gravel I mean large chunky rocks. Like, look at this. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like crap in the road. I don't know how this stuff keeps getting there, but you know, what are you gonna do? That's the kind of crap that could probably puncture a small tire, like one of the thin road tires. All right, so it's a beautiful day out today. And on biketalk.nyc, I think this is episode 31, so I'm getting up there. Had a conversation with a coworker who's like, oh, your commute is 35 minutes and that's how long your videos are. My commute is 35 minutes. And I'm like, oh, you should totally watch my commute in real time as you do your commute. I thought that was pretty funny. I do think these things could be edited down quite a bit. I don't make any claims about their quality or the efficiency of the content that's on them. I do ramble a bit, but I think it's interesting to just see in real time what's going on out here. What's this? Wow. Oh, no, breadcrumb. Oh, that's super helpful. Yeah, because I definitely want a whole swarm of pigeons hanging out on the bike lane. So here we've got no paint, and I presume there will be, but it's funny. I can see, like, all right, the DOT has somehow doesn't have access to any concrete, right? Sure, that's maybe believable. Although sort of odd. And sure, maybe their backlog to actually fix potholes and stuff is like so long that it takes them 10 years to do anything. Still don't understand how one of the richest cities in the world has this kind of like awful infrastructure. But anyway, that said, the thing that is odd is, okay, they don't have paint, or they have paint, but they don't really use it. They have, they don't have concrete, and if they did, I don't even know if they would use it. Like right here, this should be a, get rid of the parking, make it a bike lane, make it green, and then put concrete in. That becomes a second curb, so that you don't get to do this kind of crap. That's what it should be here, but it's not. So you can't do concrete. This, you can't even paint it green, apparently. Like, I wouldn't even, oh wow, look at this truck. This truck performance. Have a taste. Have a taste of this truck in the bike lane. Door zone, right here. So fine, concrete, fine, paint, but the UN is in town, or going on, and they've assembled a somewhat protected, quote-unquote protected bike lane that has barriers of cones. The cones are the barriers. They set up, you know, the plastic things all through the tunnel. I think First Avenue, I forgot, I don't even ride that. I don't think there's no bike lane on there normally. I think because the UN's in town, they added this thing, they did it overnight. Really impressive, they tweeted about it. But, so that's great. And you're like, all right, so you've proven that there is no shortage of, so this is an F right here. Because this is both off the bike lane and also on the bike lane, and impossible to get through, but also like not all the way off that it's clear, or sorry, not all the way on that it's relatively easy to get past, like to merge into traffic. It's blocking the most possible space. That's really the point. And so they can put up plastic cones to cordon off a relatively protected path that presumably drivers don't just drive on. I've seen some video, it looks like pretty useful. And I don't get why they don't just do that on all these streets that are repaved, that are supposed to have bike lanes on them, or all construction, which legally they're obligated to have. They're blocking a bike lane, they're legally required to create a like a safe bike detour, but it doesn't really happen. Booth Movers, New Jersey, just cool, just blocking this lane, thank you. So that's what I don't get. Like, it's very inconsistent, to be nice about it, but it's hit or miss. But if the city wanted to be really a lot stronger and kind of send a message, they would just say, all right, you know what, we're gonna just order 10 billion of these plastic awareness cones or whatever, right? Just these like plastic bollard things that stand up, they're orange, they're pretty clear. And it's pretty obvious if you're in a car that you hit them, right? So you're probably gonna avoid hitting them generally, unless you're really reckless and not paying attention or whatever. So that would be like a great project. DOT stepping in, doing a Bloomberg era, Bloomberg style, Jeanette Sadik Khan style hack, where you say, you know what, for right now, we're gonna temporarily create, let's say, you know, 50 miles of protected bike lanes. The way we're gonna do that is, we don't have access to concrete. Paint is whatever, it takes a long time or whatever, and paint doesn't protect you at all. We're gonna do a pseudo-protected bike lane and send a message to drivers that that we're trying. That would be pretty cool. Like right here. Imagine that there was just, you know, well, it would require getting rid of this car storage right here. And I mean, you have to have car storage right next to a park. There's no, you know, right next to a playground. You absolutely need a 4-lane roadway with two entire lanes dedicated to car storage, you know, on a park with kids playing and people walking, and zero bike infrastructure. because that is the absolute right way to handle Riverside. Riverside Drive. All right, so we're at Riverside, and oh, okay, so this is 102nd. That's when I'm just getting the official street. I always forget. So this is 102nd Street. Let's see if I can get in here. Oh boy, what do we got? Whoa boy. So that's fun. He's blowing up a ton of dust. Crap. But I feel like if he doesn't have a mask for that dust and all that stuff, then it's, I don't know, maybe it's okay. Maybe not. Not sure. So this is a typical morning, right? You have commuters, people walking, a lot of dog walking. Great to see. Great to be part of this activity. But this is a typical, right? Like, you kind of see, this is kind of empty. It's not, you know, it's not super crowded or anything. Very spacious. It also is, I think, like 9:45 or something like that. So definitely past rush hour. Rush hour. I think when you see the camera sort of shake, I'm usually just sort of trying to glance behind my shoulder like that. So I can see behind, but if the camera's only going to get like that side, but I can kind of, I'm able to turn my eyes and, you know, and glance over the camera. My head doesn't actually turn all the way, so you don't get the full view, but that's what's happening when I sort of jerk my head. All right. What else? Nice calm morning. You can see the waves, or the water here is really calm, not windy, not choppy. This is the best, you know? So, whatever, it's day 4 or 5 now of owning an urban arrow, and so far so good. My wife is riding it a fair amount. She rode it yesterday, did a bunch of errands, reported back that it was amazing. She even posted a picture of it parked right next to another cargo bike, similar, same style, but different kind of cargo bike, different brand. Share the road. Share the road. It's a funny phrase. It means different things to different people. Oh, they ripped up this street. Which means that all of us cycling and running and everything next to this, we're inhaling all of the soot and or whatever, the fine particulate matter that is, you know, under a certain size, gets caught in your lungs. Very bad. You don't really see it, but it's definitely there. When they outside our apartment we have windows that face the street, and when they went through repaving on that street, you know, they rip up the pavement, so it's kind of like all the grooves on, you know, underneath, and they don't add the blacktop again for like what felt like a few weeks. And so notice that our windowsills were just soot. They were just dark and sooty because we had the windows open because it was in the summer. It was pretty hot, and couldn't figure it out, but then quickly figured it out. Realized that just this like particulates in the air were coming through the window, depositing on our windowsill, and we're like, holy crap, how much crap are we breathing in here from just having these windows open nearby? And it's pretty remarkable how terrible this stuff is. So we shut them and put on air conditioning, or we just shut them. But that's the environmental review that should be done, right? Oh boy. Uh-oh. What's going on here? Okay. Guys just hanging out, chit-chatting. So yeah, share the road. That's a topic worth discussing. When you're in a car, share the road basically means get out of my way. This is not for cyclists. Share the road means usually it comes up when a cyclist is taking the full width of the roadway, right? They're taking the full lane. And right, because that is a safer thing to do, and it's legal, and it's definitely a much safer thing when it's, even when, you know, it's narrow, streets are narrow, you take the full width because it makes it really clear. You don't allow a driver to try to sneak past in space that is way too tight and could be very dangerous. A close pass can be very dangerous. And so that's when you're a cyclist, you're like, I'm sharing the road. I'm sharing the road because this is a roadway and I am a vehicle. I'm riding in traffic. But as a driver, you see that, you're like, get over to the side, get out of my way. And I think you hear about this up in over on the other side, like route, forget the route, the people, all the cyclists take their routes up over to GW Bridge and then up north on the Hudson. I guess there's some major, you know, streets there that tons of people do big rides on. I'm not even familiar. I've never ridden there, so I don't even know. But I'm familiar. I've heard of it, and I know that when you're up there, it's things like you have packs of cyclists doing the most safe, like the safest possible thing they can do, which is grouping together, taking a full lane. Now these are like 2-lane kind of mini highways where drivers will do 40 miles an hour, which is totally unsafe, but the cyclists will do like 28 miles an hour probably. You know, like they're not going slow. I presume they're doing 20, 25 or something like that. So it's not even like slow. And like, God forbid, a driver gets stuck behind, you know, these slow cyclists. And these damn cyclists taking up the full width of the road, making it so I can't speed past them and do 50 miles an hour on a road with no sidewalks, no bike infrastructure, nothing. Just literally 2 lanes and and some paint in between, which is a typical kind of roadway in America. You would never see that in the Netherlands. That doesn't exist. That kind of a ridiculous configuration. It's so, I mean, you never see anything like that, but there are places where the level of traffic and things like that have slightly different patterns, but you know, so they don't have sidewalks, they don't have dedicated lanes and stuff, but you know, you don't see that. Anyway, and then it's like share the road by getting out of my way so that me in a car can go fast through you so I can get to my destination 30 seconds faster. What's crazy is like how frequently you see drivers like poorly estimate how fast they're going, whether or not they can make a light, whether making a light saves you any time. Like even those basic calculations, I think, are lost. Like they're not operating rationally. You're like, oh, I need to get through this light because I'm making a turn. But everybody knows that like in New York City, you know, when you make that turn, you're hitting another red light. Like there's a red light on the other street. So you can take your time. You don't have to get through that. But you have people intersection bullying, inching their way through, speeding through, making light, you know, trying to get through at the last possible second, which in that case is totally twisted, because if you are making a turn and you just get through on a yellow light that's turning red, or a red light, right, then you are congratulated, rewarded with a green light, you know, on the other block. And so in those cases, like drivers are acting somewhat rationally. They're like, well, if I make this, like especially taxi drivers, they're like, oh, I can, if I make this, I will get a green light on 6th Avenue. You know, if I'm on 23rd and making a right turn, I just gotta get through here, and then I have a wave of green lights. Like that's the structure. That's how these streets are designed. And they really should be designed for rewarding good behavior, you know, and rewarding pedestrians and cyclists with timings that make sense for the foot traffic that these intersections experience. Foot traffic is traffic. People, there's so many assumptions when you're talking about things. You're talking about cars, traffic, parking, all that. You're automatically talking about cars, of course. So share the road. So my man Peter Mass, who I called Peter Frampton on the a couple episodes ago, but he's the writer for the Intercept article that I loved. I said, I called him out, I tweeted at him and asked if he'd be interested on a bike ride with me, go on a bike ride. I think if he saw any of the episodes, he might reconsider, but he didn't say he'd be happy to, which is very nice of him. So at some point I gotta find some time, coordinate. I kind of have to figure out the audio situation here a little bit, but maybe that's not so bad. Honking. Wow. So there's a truck, flatbed truck, going backwards at like 12, 15 miles an hour. He's going as fast as me. And he honked. So that means that that means it's safe. Oh man, never see any changes in these areas here, and even temporary changes. So, I mean, we're way beyond it, but the what's it called, Fleet Week. Fleet Week happens in like, I think May. So like a week in May, this entire area is basically shut down to cyclists. It's like you have to walk your bike for like 10 blocks, you gotta do all this stuff. And you know that this is happening every single year. It's not like it's a surprise. Just like the UN traffic, all the car traffic that's happening off the UN General Assembly. It's not like it's that much different than New York City regular gridlock, right? It's not that much different. It's just that New York cannot possibly absorb any more vehicles. And when a bunch of streets close down, as they should, New York City, it's not that that's a bad thing, that's a great thing to shut down streets, but the problem is they provide zero mitigation for it. Meaning there's no congestion pricing, there's no, there's nothing that manages traffic actively. Nothing that says, all right, there's 10 billion cars that come in every hour, you know. Nobody's measuring that. Doesn't seem like anybody really knows how to deal with it, and instead they just deal with it on the street in the middle of these major areas where you have tons and tons of pedestrian traffic. I'm gonna go through this because it makes no sense to have a red light. Pier 79, so here we're at 40th Street, sorry. 40th Street, but this is a city bike dock here that gets some good activity. This is a great placement for city bike, right? It's right on the water. This is normally a very, very difficult place to try to access. But on a bike, you get front row seats here, and it's super easy. I mean, not easy, you gotta get through all this garbage, but in this highway and stuff, and there's very crappy infrastructure and all that, so if you do take on a little bit of risk. State law, license suspended after 2 work zone speeding tickets. That, I guess, is a fact. I don't know what that means. I don't know how that applies to anybody here. Are they implying there's a work zone going on? Are they implying that there is any kind of enforcement? Like, is there a camera here? Is that why you should be compelled not to speed? And what is speeding anyway? What is the actual speed limit? side lane to go past people, but you can see pretty clearly there's nobody on the left. That's kind of like an interesting maneuver. Your daily reminder of sports cars. Our lust for sports cars. Lotus in there. I saw a great tweet Travis wrote that said anybody that any city that like widens a highway in 2019 should be tried at The Hague. It's like not even that extreme. It's like pretty accurate. I almost feel like everybody should be, I mean, I go back and forth between personal responsibility and policy changes, right? And design decisions and, you know, federal and state and local policy changes. Like, if you want people to drive less, increase the price of gas gradually. Create a plan, start doing it. Things like that. If you want people out of cars, create more space for not being in a car, like remove parking. If New York City could systematically start doing this, we could have federal standards that demand that, you know, that major streets all have bike lanes and things next to them. I mean, there's all kinds of things to do that go way beyond, that are much more powerful, that have way more leverage for moving the needle on these kinds of problems, depending on your goal. Your goal is to reduce VMTs, vehicle miles traveled. There's so many things to do. It certainly is not increasing car efficiency standards. That's like a nice thing to do, but you just look at the data and vehicle miles traveled just continuously increases. It increases everywhere. It only flatlines when you raise the price of gas, or when gas prices just go up. Oh, shit. It's gonna get light here. Think I can make this? I'm putting my finger out here so it's very clear to everybody. Even though there's this truck driver texting, words with friends, I don't know what he's doing. So, yeah, if you want to address VMTs, which is kind of the biggest driver of, hello, this is a bike lane, guys. I could just stop right here and just be like, I am on the bike lane, and you are not. You're not allowed to be on the bike lane. So here's OYB 3169. I can't even read them fast enough. There's too many. There's too many of them on the bike lane. Here's a FedEx truck. Definitely pushing the boundaries of what's allowed on the bike lane. So let's see if anybody stops here. Nope, they're still going through red light. Yeah, this guy right here definitely went through it. This is 612827. And so then you have personal behavior, kind of what there's like a bunch of articles and things coming out now about, you know, you should fly less and you should, you know, do this, do that. But like I'm all for personal decisions, but it doesn't seem like that really works. I mean, it doesn't work. I don't think there's real much impact that you gain from just like begging people to change their behavior without actually doing either a carrot or a stick or both, right? You have to demand things and then create policy around it. You can't quite ask for people to stop eating meat, you know, but you can make meat more expensive. You can stop subsidizing meat, the meat industry. You can create regulations around it. But like, you know, for like 50 years, environmentalists have tried to get people to eat less meat. And like, I don't think that really does very much. I hate to be sort of a pessimist, but I am. I don't think I am. I think I'm like, I see the value of policy. And market economics are a very powerful thing. Market forces, rather. I just know the most kind of basic ones, which is if you raise the price of something, people will change their behavior around that thing. They will consume less of that thing. It's not that complicated. And you can model this kind of stuff out probably decently well. There's plenty of data to show that gas prices, when they go up, they yield things like smaller vehicles, fewer trips, less, you know, fewer miles traveled. All the things we want, because the transportation industry, or transportation, cars, create, I don't know what, a third, two-thirds, a third or 40% or something of all carbon emissions. And that's, I think, the biggest point here, is that your personal decision, when you have a car, you personally have the ability to generate carbon. That is a rare thing. Like, I can use some electricity, but I'm not creating carbon, I'm consuming electricity. So you could say, oh, well, the coal plant that created your electricity created carbon. And so you compelled them to do that, but it's not exactly that simple. It's not nearly as simple as getting in a car, turning on your engine and driving 20 miles just created a certain amount of carbon. That's it, that's the physics of it. Very straightforward. Me getting on a flight didn't produce more carbon, right? Guys upset? Anyway, more on that later. Thanks for watching. This is Bike Talk NYC with Jeff. Tune in later.